Yeah, so the Google event was interesting. It was to me it felt like a combination of the of the most recent Apple event and two Microsoft events ago. Like, it was a little less scattershot than the last Google event. There seemed to be more of a message. The message felt like we are competing with Apple for on-device intelligence. And so they announced a whole new suite of products in the exact same order that Apple would walk through them at their event. There was a section for the phones, there was a section for home, there was a section for some of their software improvements that relate to the devices. In this case, it's because the AI is running on device. There were also watches. I'm trying to think, I actually did watch. I did have this on during meetings, so I had it muted for most of it. But
That's commitment. That's commitment.
The interesting AI pieces were mostly around Gsuite integration. And from what they showed, it was a lot of sort of very similar to the initial Copilot launch, like what Microsoft Copilot was about a year ago. Email, docs. I don't think they said anything about Sheets.
Are we still talking chat box as the primary input? Like
total chat box.
Okay.
Total chat box. And same like skill based. Sometimes it puts a skill result in the chat pane. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's Google, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they came up with some new UI for at least the docs thing. I mean,
yeah, I was hoping.
At the very least, I would expect them to have the floaty bar because Apple did it too.
Right.
Because floaty bar caught on. Good for them. But yeah, the UI, I didn't see very much in the way of UI that I thought was like particularly net new. Sorry, I almost dropped my coffee. But yeah, I think like overall, the most of the software was in the G Suite integration, and then there was also a new voice mode, which seemed somewhere in between the original ChatGPT voice mode and advanced voice mode, which is now rolling out. We talked about that last week. So the key pieces of advanced voice mode is that it responds sort of supposedly almost immediately, and it's supposed to match your tone and show emotion and be able to show emotion in response to questions you have, laugh, chuckle, breathe, all that sort of thing. It doesn't seem like the Google voice mode has this. It seems like they would have showed it if they did. They did not show anything like that. The only feature from the advanced voice mode that they mentioned today at the event, at the Made by Google event, was like sharing live video as you're chatting with the assistant. So that was something that Google had already demoed at their I think at I/O, but they made a big deal today about, we're only demoing things that are live and ready to ship. And then that video sharing was sort of towards the end of the event where it seemed like they were getting more into stuff that wasn't quite ready to ship. So it wasn't clear to me like when that's coming. And I saw some responses to that. They were like, they caught up to advanced voice mode. It was like, no. They're releasing their original voice mode now. And then maybe there'll be the ability to send video, which is pictures every couple of seconds.
Right.
Right, it's like a very, very low frame rate video, which is exactly what ChatGPT is shipping right now. So, there was a lot of like getting up to spec with where their competitors were a year ago. That was most, and then trying to catch up with Apple. I would say they caught up with Apple, and maybe even took some steps out ahead.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not nothing, but it's almost nothing because my take on the Apple event was, "What are you guys doing?" This was all done a year ago at Microsoft of all places. I mean,
sure. We're not known for being fast.
No, we're not, and we're not known. We're not known at making great personal technology that I mean, and we're building this reputation now, I guess. So.
I mean that has been probably the biggest sea change at Microsoft was, I mean, for folks who aren't in the tech hiring world forever, Microsoft for a while was a rest and best place, right? You go there to work on hard problems, but they're going to be slow and it's going to be iterative development, right? We already have our moats and our products and we're going to move steady. AI changed that game entirely, right? Suddenly it was move quick, suddenly it was move safely, but there was a sense of urgency that's never happened before. So we're slowly losing that rep, but I think we still have plenty of it.
Yeah, I think it for a long time it was not only not important that we move quickly, but it was actually more important that we move slowly, because nobody likes when their work tools change on them. Like,
right,
I mean, even so I understand, like, there was a vested interest for us moving slowly, and that that interest has diminished, and there are new factors that make it way more advantageous for us to move more quickly. And so that,
Yeah, and still,
that's
I
definitely
mean,
a shift that's
you'll look
happening.
at OpenAI and see them be way ahead of what we're shipping, and largely that's because we're moving quick, but we're still remember our big value props. One of our big value props is you can trust the products, right? GDPR compliance, whatever industry requirements we need, we tend to meet those, and that. So there's been this tension, right? I think it's been fascinating to watch the tension develop, and I would bet they're the same things happening at Google, right? Some of this push and pull on like,
Oh yeah.
God, the red teaming's got to be so intense because you have this. You're not a new company. You have this multi-trillion-dollar brand. You can't screw it up. You saw this with Google Answers, where Google Answers, if they get something wrong, that's like a travesty, right? You had this, like, you're supposed to be perfect. Whereas if you're a brand new startup and you get some things wrong, people are like, oh, they're working on it. And
Yep.
so a lot of that tension's happening with big companies trying to move quick.
I mean, there was even more of that today. I'll see if I can pull up one of the images, but like, yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad. It was the first live demo at the show, so they had made this big deal about, like, right at the top of the show of, hey, we've been showing some stuff that, and Google seems to love to do this, like, come down to the personal level. Like, hey, most companies don't say this, but we're going to say, we know that people have been upset that not everything we show is coming quickly, and people are looking for what's really, where does AI fit into my life? We keep seeing it in these videos and demonstrations, but hasn't shown up on my phone yet. And so I think they acknowledge that that's a real thing that's happening maybe in the community, more so outside of the community, in sort of the mainstream. Um, and then so they said, so today we're going to show stuff that's like almost ready to ship, live demos on device. It's going to be great. And their first demo was a pretty unmitigated disaster. Let me pull up the image.
But it was live.
Um,
Hey, I mean, kudos for a live demo. I'll give them that.
yep. So right, but then they made a big deal about the live demo, and it was,
Yeah, you're going to hype it.
it's a problem. So share. Um, so yeah, this was the screenshot I took during the event today.
Nice.
And it's it's this poor guy demoing, like, doing his best in his demo day bomber and everything,
Gotta have the
and
demo day bomber.
it unfortunately it didn't work out. I don't even remember what the prompt was, but it was their first demo. It wasn't something mind blowing, and it failed. He did a pretty good job of trying to be like, let's just give that another try. AI doesn't always work, and
Right, right.
and it failed again. And then they switched devices, which
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay.
What do you think, Chris? Like, do you think
Yeah.
that was they switched to just another device and tried for a third time, not knowing if it was going to fail for a third time? Or did they switch to a device with a pre-recorded video?
I could buy it's another device. If I was running the event, I would certainly have something canned in the backdrop in case it collapses. I mean, that's what would happen in the video game world. So if you ever, like, in a past life, I was in that industry, and if you're demoing at E3 or I don't know, whatever the conference would be nowadays, because E3 is kind of gone, you would try to do it live. And then if something started going wrong, you'd have a video playing that's like right in line with where you are in the demo, and you would just cut to the video if things just completely blew up, as can happen. So I could buy there was a canned device there, but I buy the tech's real. I buy that it's happening. I don't
I'm
think
sure they've
by
developed something like this.
Yeah.
I guess my point is the same as Chris's, which is that if every live demo I've done, I've had some sort of fallback video.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
after two failures for the first demo live on stage with, I can't even imagine how many people watching, the
a lot of
company was like
incentive.
on the line in that moment. Like,
Right.
if I was the CEO, I'd be, first of all, he wasn't there. I'd be sweating
Really?
bullets. Like, but I don't remember him ever being on stage.
Wow.
They had their wish Tim Cook looking guy.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I don't even know who he is really. I'm not usually watching all the Google events, but he came out and he is. Let's see if I can pull up a picture of him. But I mean, he did a good job, I think, with the presentation. But I'm actually wondering if he's like their head of AI or something.
Could be.
Because, or maybe he's head of devices, since it was a mostly device driven event.